the IT On Call podcast. My name is Ross, or like my clients used to call me, Ross to the Rescue, Feldman. I am the CTO here at Better Call IT, and I have with me Michelle Brammer with Safe Alliance. How are you doing today, Michelle?
I am doing well, thank you.
Excellent. Just a little bio. Michelle Brammer is the Director of Grants and Advancement for Safe Alliance. We'll talk a little bit more about Safe Alliance in a moment. She has worked with Safe Alliance for over 11 years in various roles. Michelle graduated from the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor in 2009 with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. She attended law school at the Charlotte School of Law, where she obtained her JD in 2013. It's been quite an interesting time in law, and we've been dealing a lot in the podcast. We had a corporate lawyer on. We talked about AI and law and the usage of that, but we're here talking more about victims assistance and some services that Safe Alliance provides. So can you provide an overview of Safe Alliance and what it does?
Sure. So, Safe Alliance is a nonprofit organization located in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. We have been here since 1909, and we are here to provide hope and healing to those impacted by domestic violence and sexual assault. And we do so through our 5 core programs, where we try to provide this continuum of care through the healing journey, and provide services from advocacy to counseling, support group, legal support, really anything that's going to help get you through that healing journey.
Very cool. And we had worked together because of a contract when it comes to IT and your services and your break fix, but there was more to that because you have Microsoft 365. Nonprofits get 365, 10 licenses for free of premium, and then they get a nonprofit version of Microsoft 365 at a discount. But the Safe Alliance setup, you guys get SharePoint. And that was one of those things that you and I were discussing a lot because you were dealing in your previous role with onboarding. And onboarding, there's a lot of paperwork that has to be passed between the associate and the staff, and there has to be a lot of training and tracking and knowledge that needs to be transferred. And so we were talking about how to efficiently be able to transfer all that information to the new associate. And the idea of SharePoint came up. So when you came to me asking for help with that, I was like, SharePoint, let's build you that. And you guys actually came up with a name for your SharePoint, and you called it the Lotus.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit more about where the name the Lotus came from?
Yes. So originally we just had a very generic SharePoint page. And it did not have any colors. Upon really trying to talk about the frustration staff were having when onboarding, trying to locate documents, as we had this conversation, I learned that SharePoint can do so much more, and that we could name our SharePoint page. Previously, we would refer to it as, it's that SharePoint site, not the document center, but the other one, which caused lots of confusion amongst the agency. And so we decided to send out a poll to the staff and let the staff choose what they wanted our name to be. And they chose the Lotus, which is our logo. It's our image. And each of the colors represents the colors for domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse. And so that's really how we chose our name.
And that's so powerful that you get a buy-in from the staff, and they get a nomenclature that they're like, oh, it's on the Lotus. I've worked with the Carolina Raptor Center, and on theirs, they called it the Nest because of the bird's nest. And then there's other organizations that just say my XYZ, and they just call it their intranet. Intranet is different than internet. Internet is that wide, open, connected World Wide Web. Intranet is an inside website only available to the employees of an organization. And an intranet can be very powerful to be able to help with camaraderie, communication, accessibility to knowledge. There's a lot going on when it comes to what gets put into an intranet. Like you said, you originally had a SharePoint document center, which was just a repository of documents, but having the web pages, the editability is really powerful here on here on the Lotus. So can you talk more about the features of the Lotus? What sort of sections are in there?
So we have kind of worked together as a senior leadership team to identify what really are staff looking for? What do they need quickly? What is it that they use on a frequent basis? And so that's kind of what has formulated what you can see on this page. There will be tweaks along the way. One of the things we need to work on is putting our upcoming meetings. That was something that we can all get very busy. And so we would forget that we had an upcoming all staff meeting or maybe a leadership meeting. And so we wanted to have something where you could see the upcoming meetings that were more agency wide. There were meetings that someone might just lose, even if it is on their calendar. Our training records, so part of our grant funding requires us to keep up with speaking engagements, any trainings that we've completed. And so that was something that used to be further down that we've really tried to move around so that staff have easy access. We created a quick links. These are links to specific team pages, which we can show you a couple later, but also the frequent sites that they visit. So our time force for timekeeping, our internal database. And then we have an announcement section, which is just an opportunity for us to communicate when new staff are coming on. So we can all say hello to them. If there are staff that are going to be leaving, we can wish them well. And then other announcements, agency announcements as they come along. Further down, which I think is the next slide. Oh, here's another picture of the helpful links. We also have a couple of our organizational chart. We have a rapid response plan. And then on the next page, we have links to our working charts, which staff use pretty frequently to look back at for grants to kind of see, how the program is moving along to meet our goals. We have a SharePoint training so they understand how to actually utilize the Lotus site. And then we have our Lives the Mission directly on there. This is something where at our quarterly all staff meeting, we celebrate somebody who has really truly lived the mission. And so staff can nominate someone that they feel like is deserving of the Lives the Mission award. And then on the next slide at the bottom, we try to have some photos of our most recent all staff retreat, some pictures that some kids made from Camp Hope, just things that would be engaging for our team.
And that's super powerful to be able to have that. You want it to be a resource for them to use every day, but also be a resource for them to go check out more details of what's going on with other parts of the organization. We get siloed in our different departments, and
Yes.
Each department can have. We encourage when we build an intranet for a company, we try to encourage each department to be represented in the intranet, to be able to do it. There's a news feed that you can be able to put in what the latest news is. And again, this does put more work on the organization, but to be honest, they're already doing this work already, doing internal reporting to upper leadership during meetings, but it stays in those closed door meetings. And sometimes having that open awareness can be very engaging for those who feel disconnected in the organization. And I hear it 1,000 times a day. Oh, we need a newsletter. We need a newsletter. We need a newsletter. But this is an interactive newsletter. So you just make a news article and then publish it, and you have a picture and you just share it, and it makes it so easy. You guys put even more work into your intranet. You have more going on in the next slide. Tell us about the next slide.
So we created, one of the pages is a staff self-care resource page. And so it's something that it gets updated once to twice a year. I'd like to do it a bit more, just with some different ways that staff can, a lot of the work that we do can be really difficult. So if they need to step away for 5 minutes and do a meditation, or they want to do just a quick coloring sheet, that's something that they can have access to quickly. And so it's something that I want us to be able to update regularly with some new links, new ideas for self-care, just because that can be so important with what we do every day.
So speaking on staff members and user engagement and feedback, tell me, how have staff members responded to the existence, the creation of the Lotus, the latest iteration of it?
I think staff enjoy it. I think it's something that it is a culture shift to use this more than just emails. As you're saying, it can be that method of communication. We actually have an internal newsletter, and we are in talks of using that kind of communication announcements to be take the place of that internal newsletter and to really utilize it to for that purpose. And so I think staff appreciate seeing announcements because we are siloed. As much as we are still one agency, we do find that we may not know who a new staff member is and when they join. And this gives us an opportunity to have at least a name and know when I go to visit that office, this is somebody I want to say hello to. I want to welcome to the team. There's a directory as well. And so being able to access the directory has been extremely helpful for staff. Some that feel comfortable having their cell phone number, it's on there. So if they need to reach somebody in another department, everybody is listed on there. And so staff appreciate that. We having all those quick links reduces just that need for finding where is the site to go for our internal database? Where is this? Where is that? Everything's in one location. We also have a list of community resources. And so that's the resource guide Mecklenburg. So someone keeps up with that, and it has all the resources that we are aware of, and it gets updated regularly. And that makes a difference if you have someone who comes in and says, I need this service, and we're not sure. Instead of just Googling, we have a resource guide that we know is up to date. The slide you were showing, we have recently, this is new over the last couple of months, created this employee onboarding and training. And so it's really built into multi-parts. So it's not only for the supervisor, but it's also for the new employee who's getting started. It has links to everything that they would need to be able to onboard a new staff member and everything a new staff member would need to be able to locate. So instead of saying, oh, this is where you can find this in the document center, this is where you can find this form, this is where this is located, and causing that confusion, they just go to this page and everything they need has a link to where to go. So it's really streamlined. And it's really made a difference for our supervisors because we each had our own kind of Word document onboarding. So this has been a one platform for everybody to go to. And this was a team effort. We had representation from all teams to create this.
And that's the thing, is that you've got a living, breathing organism that is constantly growing. It's gone through several iterations since it was launched. New features have been added to it. You're getting employee feedback, and these were all needs that the employees had that were not quite verbalized, but they were realized once they became an available option. And this onboarding and training gives that visibility to 30, 60, 90 days for the employee. And some companies print this out, but what if it changes? You have to go update your printouts. And by having it online, it's as simple as click, edit, update, publish. It's that simple, right? So definitely, there's a lot of efficiencies to be had by having an intranet. When it comes to the Lotus, when someone gets access to it, they also get access to the links, but there's also the payroll system and other systems that they need to be added to. Do you find that people used to ask, well, what's the link to the system before, and now they don't ask that as much? Or do you feel they still ask where systems are located?
So in terms of the systems, I don't think we get as many questions because everything is right here. And one of the links to the onboarding and training is a detailed PowerPoint of everything that you need, how to locate it with pictures. We do have a separate kind of HR system. And so there can be questions around that just because we don't necessarily own and facilitate that. But when it comes to the links like our internal database, our Timeforce, things that we have the links for, it has been much easier for staff to follow through. It's also helped having this form versus the paper form because we've found that people would save this is the current checklist, and they would save it on their desktop. Well, it would change and they would just pull the old one up. And so it would have the wrong people to reach out to or the wrong email addresses, or it didn't have all the steps. And so things were being missed. And so what we've really encouraged is to go to this page every time you're onboarding somebody so that you know you've got the most up-to-date information and you're contacting the correct people.
Following along, absolutely. Staying with the process. So you've got a few different sub-organizations within the organization. The hotline's one of them. Can you talk more about the hotlines page?
Yes, so each of our programs has their own page. Some have done a little bit more, than others, and so this is Hotlines page. They have their flow charts, their quick links, things that are specific to the Hotline program only that they would need in order to help them with doing their role. It's a collaborative document. It gets updated as needed. Staff get trained on it, but it's kind of that one place to go to help them as they're in their role. They have a countdown to their team meeting, which I believe was yesterday, and that's why it's 0. They celebrate internally birthdays and anniversaries for the hotline team. And then their director has specific kind of self-care on here. While we have the larger page, these are things that she has found are specific to her team, that her team really utilize, whereas the larger is just lots of opportunities for self-care that anybody in the agency might need. These are more specific to what she knows her team would want to take advantage of when they need a break.
I encourage duplication in silos because the odds that someone's going to go check another team's page is less than likely. It's important to be aware of what the other teams are doing, but they get stuck in their silo, and that's what they work with every day. So it helps to have the same information across multiple pages, but also have that availability of you can peruse another page if you need to access a resource as well, encouraging people to do that. Can you share any specific examples where the intranet has streamlined processes or enhanced productivity?
I would say the onboarding has been one of the most significant that we've noticed. By working together as a team with representatives from each program, we were really able to identify the areas of where we were duplicating. We were able to really talk through what is necessary in our onboarding process, what is going to make it the easiest for everybody to know what to do, where to find things, and easiest on the new staff that begin to be able to kind of get involved in the organization, understand the organization. And so it was a very long, I don't know, probably 6-month process to come up with what we have, but that has made a huge difference. I think reevaluating our homepage as well. As a senior leadership team, we've really tried to identify what staff are needing and trying to move things around, change the colors of things, take items off of there. We used to have a list of our support groups so that everybody knew the upcoming support groups. But we found that they changed frequently because we change as we notice the community needs a change in the type of support group being offered. And so it was changing so much that it was difficult for somebody to keep up with. And so we found that that wasn't as helpful. And so really being thoughtful about what our staff need to be able to communicate amongst one another efficiently and collaborate effectively.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that you have to change and you have to iterate and you have to go through different versions, because sometimes something what seems like a good idea doesn't quite pan out the way that everyone expected. And there's the leadership team making decisions in their space that might not resonate as well with the staff, right? So definitely getting multiple teams in there. Looks like STRC is another program, another department that has their own page with their own links.
Mm-hmm. So the Sexual Trauma Resource Center, they have, as you can see, a mindfulness moment as well. So they have kind of figured out what it is that their team needs. There's links to documents, links to trainings that's specifically needed by their advocates and their clinicians. They also have a team favorites, which I believe was on Hotlines as well, where the team gets to just fill out some of their favorite things. So if you really know one of your coworkers had a tough week or, something like that, and you wanted to just bring them a candy bar, you could go look at the staff favorites and see what is something that's their favorite to kind of say, hey, I appreciate you, thank you, whatever it may be. And so that's something that I've noticed a lot of our teams have really been focused on recently, is having that team favorites.
And that's the thing is that I have my son's in elementary school, and they made a list of all the teachers' favorite TV shows, snacks, so that when you do a thank you for the teacher, like they shop at Target and they eat at Chick-fil-A, and their favorite candy is M&Ms and things like that. So that definitely helps with engagement and understanding someone without having known them. Known those details before. When it comes to Safe Alliance, some people have questions about the security of the site, but one of the things I want to iterate is that this is an internal website. Only internal associates have access to it, so it's not available to the outside world. It's an intranet, and definitely having this as a homepage is very powerful to be able to help with putting everything front and center for the staff. But again, this is not for putting any personal identifiable information or personal health information. This is just more about organizational awareness and capabilities and functionality. And definitely, Michelle, I think you cover that when you train people on the SharePoint site.
We do.
When it comes to the future of the Lotus, are there any upcoming features or updates or more planned besides what you covered for the Lotus?
Not anything that I haven't already covered. We're definitely going to do another kind of revamp of that front homepage as we receive feedback from staff. It's really important to get that feedback and understand what it is that they need. Because we are so spread out and siloed. And so what is it that each program needs when they log on to be successful, to quickly find things, to collaborate with others. And so we encourage that feedback, and that's something that we're going to continue to revamp the individual program pages, hopefully have some more mindfulness activities and things on there. So
mental health is very important, absolutely. And we want to make sure the staff is in a good place so they can help the victims and so forth. When it comes to Safe Alliance's mission, when people need to reach out for help, how do they reach out to the organization to be able to get help if they're a victim of domestic violence?
So the recommendation is to call our Greater Charlotte Hope Line. It's a 24/7 hotline. They can provide support for domestic violence, sexual assault, and parenting support. That number is 980-771-4673. That is really the entryway into the organization. You can come to our offices, but the hotline has the knowledge of all of the programs, can give you more of an in-depth idea of what to expect from each, the office hours of when the individual programs are open, and can also connect you to community resources. So that really is the start to getting the support.
You said 980-771-
4673.
All right, I'm going to put that up in a banner here in 2 seconds after I actually get it to submit and then show. So that's 980-771-4673 is the hotline. That's the way to get connected with the organization and get assistance. And one of those things is that, I enjoy my work with nonprofits. It really fills my cup. Michelle, this was a long time coming, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and with the organization to be able to share the great things that we've done with the Lotus. I have to plug Better Call IT. If technology is your headache or your Advil, we offer a SharePoint intranet service to organizations. If you have one that you need efficiencies created in, training needing to be done, or if you don't even have one, you need to start from the ground up, we offer all of those services. So we are here to be a resource to both nonprofits and for-profit corporations. Michelle, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, you stay safe. I'm going to slide out here.